Hey everyone, Cell here. Bit of a jump since the last video. I have a couple of updates for you. The Detonate Dead Trickster is mostly bench for now. I do use it for a couple of things on occasion, but the main purpose I had in mind for the character, other than just trying out the new skills, was to farm Uber Maven, which wasn't as enticing after I got a Progenesis from a puzzle box map. So I ended up making a new character, modeled after Garatha's Caustic Arrow of Poison build, in order to try out the new Wisp Juicing strategies that are evolving. I wanted it to be... I was looking for a character to build for magic finding and general Wisp Juice farming, and I wanted it to be a Pathfinder Warden specifically to scale Flask Effect for the sake of both defense and magic find stats, rarity and quantity. So to that end, I've done a handful of maps. I will say my build is about a tenth the DPS of Garatha's. I'm actually considering taking a break from what I've been doing to upgrade my gear, basically, and make it not take half an hour every map. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. I've not stopped doing it yet because I've just been having so much fun doing it. You get so much loot, I don't really care that the maps take forever, which I think is great. And outside of just, the general desire to get more loot, I'm trying this out because it's a new thing. I don't think I've ever played a league a significant amount that you could juice maps to the extent that you can in this league. So I want to make sure I'm doing that. And it doesn't really bother me that bossing and stuff is falling to the wayside for now, because I'd rather try to farm up some uniques and things like that, some things I've never done before or gotten before, and see where that leads me in terms of my character builds in the future. So to that end, I have a couple of notes on my experience. So I have been saying Wisp Juicing. It's not strictly a juicing strategy. You can definitely do Alkin Go type stuff with it, especially if you're going with something like Ghosts or Ghosted Exiles. There's very much the possibility to just kind of Alkin Go, throw Anarchy on the map device, and aim for purple wisps, get some empowered Ghosted Exiles, and potentially get a lot of uniques that way. You also don't need like Gilded Scarabs, for example. You can run Rusted just fine. However, if you are getting warmed up to this strategy, I would recommend, if you're at the point where you can juice, I would use all of your best supplies first. Don't do what I do, which is try to hold things out for a better moment. Just use them, because there's a pretty decent chance you'll get like a Scarab explosion or something. By this point, I've had 2 Scarab explosions from the handful of maps I've done. Again, maybe like 20 maps. And that is where the majority of my winged Scarabs have come from this league. It's only been like 15-ish, I think, from those 2 batches combined, along with like 40 or 50 Gilded Scarabs. But still, that's a significant amount in a solo self-found environment. So definitely, use them on maps that are appropriate for that level of input, but don't hold back, I guess is what I'm trying to say. The strategy is especially amazing for unique items, which I kind of already mentioned, and I think people generally already know. But a lot of the discussion surrounding this has to do with how much currency can you generate in Trade League. Solo self-found just isn't that type of environment. So generating more uniques is potentially going to open up a lot of possibility for your build or upgrade paths or things like that. So for example, I've found a High Desire. That's going to be great like pretty much whatever stage I'm at. If I want to play my Lightning Arrow or Tornado Shot Deadeye. So now I have that as an option. I've also gotten a lot of unique jewels, close to a dozen by now, and normally at this point in the league, I would have 0. Unique jewels are pretty rare. So to be getting the amount that you're getting from this is really great for solo self-found. My record in terms of jewels is 3 unique jewels in 1 map. So pretty happy with that. Even if you get duplicate unique jewels, you can always double corrupt them. Try to hit like a lucky corrupted blood or some other useful stat there. So again, things that might not necessarily have a lot of value in Trade League, but are very valuable in solo self-found due to the infrequency at which you normally see them. Now, I did build my character specifically for magic finding, so I'm wearing a lot of rarity and quantity uniques, and my setup isn't the best, like I said. It's kind of ZDPS at the moment. You can see me taking quite a while to kill certain things in the background, and I've had, minute-plus long fights with single rare enemies before, hence the obscenely long map times I mentioned earlier. But you definitely don't need to do that. You can invest a little bit in a magic find. There are some slots that usually aren't too inhibitive to give up. So for example, rings, you find a decent Ventors, you can wear it. You could even use a whatever the classical magic find rarity ring is. I don't remember the name of it now, but it gives you minus resistances and a bunch of rarity. You could even use that if you wanted to. The thing to remember about magic find stats for players, like what you're getting from equipment, is the game has hard enforced diminishing returns. So what I mean by that is the way you tend to think about things in terms of gear swapping is if you have 10% quantity, or if you have, let's say, no quantity bonus, and you get 10% quantity, well, that's going to be 10% more loot. Say you have 110% quantity already, so the base plus 10%, and you go for another 10%. Well, now, that's not 1.1 times, that's 1.2 over 1.1, effectively. So in that sense, each bit of magic find you would get is less impactful than the previous. However, Grinding Gear Games takes this a step further and hard enforces diminishing returns in that once you get to certain thresholds, well, that's a bad way to phrase it, I guess. Essentially, people have tested this, and if you're sitting at 50% quantity, you are not getting 50% more loot. It's going to be closer to, I think, somewhere in the low 30s as a percentage increase of quantity. So keep that in mind when you're investing into Magic Find. If you have a bit of Magic Find and it's going to be really inhibitive, it's going to significantly reduce your damage or defense, or both, to equip higher Magic Find items, then just don't do it. You can still get really good results with low or no Magic Find, depending on your strategy. And there aren't just, obviously I'm doing the very meta Abyss strategy here in the background, but that's far from the only one. Definitely experiment with things. Again, Ghosted Exiles as well as Expedition are pretty classic solo self-found strategies. You can find those around online as well. And so I'd recommend checking those out, especially if you're on the low or no investment side of things in terms of mapping supplies. Or even like Rusted Reliquary Scarabs would go a long way there as well. Beyond that, there are some other minor things you could do for Magic Find, like get a gold flask, a Katarina, modded flask for 30% rarity, and you can scale that up with flask effect, etc. Again, I decided to go all out, but not really necessary, especially if you want to go for a more currency farming route. I'm after uniques specifically. Of course, you can't always guarantee that you're going to find the color of wisp that you want. So sometimes I do end up doing a blue-yellow split, which is good for general currency at quantity. So I have gotten quite a few divines. In these 20 maps, I believe I've averaged more than a divine per map. Occasionally you get like 3 divines in a map. I've had 2 sacred orbs, which is insane. I think prior to this league, I've had 1 sacred orb drop ever as like a raw drop. I've gotten 1 from Sanctum as well, which is a little bit different. But yeah, just to put things in perspective there. Anyways, that's kind of my general take on the whole situation. If you want to try this out, I would definitely just try it on whatever character you're playing at the time. That's what I did. I had my Summon Raging Spirit Necromancer. I said, you know what, I'll try it out. I'll go to low maps, do some Wisp Juicing, and go from there. Like, if I like it, then I'll consider making a new character for it. I did it with a bunch of Magic Find items. I liked the results I was seeing after a few maps and said, okay, I'll commit to making a new character. So that's what I'd recommend, and sometimes you don't feel like making a new character. I have rerollitis this league, so I made a new character. And I wanted to try out a couple of the Transfigure gems still, as I do to this day. So that was an extra incentive for me to reroll as well. So yeah, to avoid rambling too long, I guess I'll cut the video off here. Oh, I guess since I'm seeing it on my screen as I'm just doing a bunch of random nonsense in the background recording. Pretty good for Voidborn Reliquary keys. I've had 5 or 6 of them, I believe. No puzzle boxes. I don't think they can drop in Tier 7. I could be wrong about that, though. Oh, I guess something to mention here at the end, if you have not started Solo Southbound, but you're going to, or you have not progressed past the Infinite Hunger or the Black Star, one option you have is don't fight the Infinite Hunger or the Black Star, so you can continue using altars on Tier 11 maps. That'd be easier than doing Tier 14, and you can still do the Wisp Juicing strategy at that point. So just another minor little tip there. I would definitely recommend trying the strategy out at some point, though. Again, even if you don't go like full investment, just focus on like getting as many wisps as you can, seeing how well you handle it, see if you like it. For me, it's great to have this option here to crank things to the max for good rewards, and it offers a really good incentive for me to continue improving my characters throughout the entire league, basically. Anyways, hope this video was insightful or entertaining in some way, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Peace.